Hello and welcome back to La Vida Fútbol. My name is Luis Laureano. I'm a UEFA B licensed coach from California, currently living and coaching in Germany. Today's video is a futsal defensive shape video. We're going to be defending in the 1-2-1 formation, and we're going to be doing a zone defense. Okay, so we are black and yellow, and the opponents are here in white. So let's begin. So as you can see here, the opponents have the ball and they already are on the way up the pitch. Our first player here, the pivot, that is the first player to determine our movement and determine the direction of where we are trying to steer the play. But of course, in futsal, due to the number of players, we do not want to get too high up to the point where we are forcing the play to one side. So what I mean is, for example, if the pivot goes in this position where clearly the opponents cannot go to the left, then in the outdoor game, we would force them, obviously, in this case, the right side or our left side, and we will be fine, because if we are behind the middle of the pitch, then there's still a long way to get to the goal. But here, if we go so high up, then this gives the opponents the center of the pitch. It becomes available. Or if we tuck in this particular situation, this is also dangerous because the player on the left side here is open. Now, that might not seem like a big deal, but if we have two players covering the center of the pitch, which is of course very dangerous, then the play would go to the outside, and because of the court being so small, this player would be able to go up the pitch after a few dribbles, would be in a dangerous position. Okay, so now our fixo here would have to figure out, okay, well, what are we gonna do, right? Are we gonna defend this player, or are we gonna stay in the center? Because we got to remember that the other side is open with a player. Okay, so now this is why we do not want to have our people go too high up, at least not with the entire team being in a position where they're covering all the players. If we are running a zone defense, then this will not be the appropriate way to essentially start. Okay, so we do want to try to steer the game, but we do not want our people to go so high up that the center of the pitch becomes too open. Okay, of course, even if the center isn't open, the opponent's people would definitely try to get the ball there, because if they are to get the ball in the middle, then they are in a one-on-one situation. But defending in a zone defense means that we are moving together and we typically try to stay in our position. Okay, but that is very difficult to do in futsal because the game moves so fast, the ball is moving so quickly, players are moving constantly, which will at times require us to move out of our position to follow our player. Okay, but when that happens, we have to make sure that our position is taken. So then it's still defending in a zone because we are still defending a certain zone, but it is a mixture of zone defense with man-to-man coverage. Okay, so let's take a look. So typically zone defending would mean something like this. The ball goes to the right side and then everybody shifts over. We try to keep our diamond shape and we try to cover the center. So we try to not have any ball going between our four players here, meaning if, for example, this player goes in here, then we have enough pressure with our fixo or even our pivot there to have the ball go back. When the ball goes back, then we shift over once again. Okay, still covering in a zone defense. But here, for example, if this player, the ala that was on the left side, goes to the center of the pitch and then goes to the outside, and they have three players here, and then we still have the one-on-one here, then this is where things have to change a little bit. Okay, so we are going to try to be aware, and one of these players should communicate that the play is on the left side and the opponent's right side. We will have our people kind of steer the game even more to that side just because we have all our players there. But now if their player goes there and then the other one gets wide, then we just tuck in a little bit, go in there, and we try to stay in that zone defending. But it's when this happens, when players move at the same time. Okay, so if the left and right ala cross, then of course we can say, oh yeah, the players just stay with their mark. But we have to consider that we are also moving at the same time. Okay, and it is much easier to follow our player running in one direction than to have both players break, cut, and switch their defender. Okay, so what I mean is this. Let's take a look at what that means. So if, for example, this player is running across the pitch and their player is running across the pitch, it's easier for this player to essentially follow the player all the way through rather than to run this way, cut back, and run the other the way, just to stay in their position, right? So when that happens, when both players are crossing, then it would be a good idea for those two players to essentially switch sides and then cover still in zone defense, but on the opposite side. Okay, so this is something that we are going to look at here. So again, pass goes there, we're moving, all our players shifting, still trying to keep our diamonds, still trying to force the play to the outsides. Okay, then if their pivot goes there, other player opens up on the other side, then you know we are essentially just aware that when that happens, boom, ball goes back there. We're trying to cover again, once trying to get everybody back in position. When there's a switch here and a switch here simultaneously, again, it's easier for us just to follow our man and still keep our diamond shape, but with our alas switching sides. Okay, this is important. We wouldn't do that is when our pivot checks in. So let's say the players are crossing here and our pivot is covering, just for this video, we're going to try to keep everything on the right side just to keep it in perspective, and because we have the other examples on the right side so we can compare everything the same, is if let's say these two players are crossing, but when this happens, as we're following our player across, their pivot is coming up here, then what we can do here is, instead of following all the way and switching the players there, so we're crossing, if the pivot goes there, then this player wouldn't be there, and this player would essentially go to the outside. Okay, so as we're following our player, it's possible that our fixo says, okay, I stay back, you cover the pivot there. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Let me try to do that again for you guys so that it's clear what I mean. Here's what I mean again. Okay, so players switch side, this player is running across, and we're following, right, these two players. It's a normal movement to switch and continue the zone, but on the opposite side for our alas, that is possible. But when this player goes up, there are two possibilities. Our fixo can follow, or our fixo can command the ala to cover their pivot, and then our fixo covers the ala that switch sides, and that is essentially staying back to draw. Okay, but again, we always try to keep that diamond, we always try to keep that center locked in. In this particular position here, our ala is a little bit too far out, but the idea was that we are making sure that this player is covered, so when they get the ball, you know, we are there. Okay, so we don't want to be too close to them, because then this leaves this center open, and then the ala that switch sides would have some space there to get the ball, turn around, and then go one-on-one with our fixo, or to go at a dribble and go 2 versus 2. Even though they switch, we don't want them to be too far out so that it leaves the center open, but we don't want them to be too tucked in so that if the pivot gets the ball, that they have a lot of space to essentially carry it forward. Okay, so that is zonal defense with some man-to-man movements. Okay, the idea of zone defending is that we cover certain zones, and the man-to-man movements come every once in a while when certain actions occur, but more often than not, what we want is to essentially have our players move together, all shifting together, keeping a diamond regardless of where the ball is, that we are keeping our shape, right? Even if the ball goes all the way here to the corner, boom, that we are still running back and keeping that shape there. Okay, but in every situation, we try to keep a shape and we try to move together. Okay, we try to cover the angles and we try to force the ball back to the outside where we can recover and where we have a lot more confidence facing forward, and where we have a certain player, in this case our fixo, always in the back commanding. But when the ball's on the side, then of course those roles change a little bit, because now one of the alas is the one that is furthest back, and of course they are the one that see a little bit more, and when the ala is not too communicative, the goalkeeper should be the one to make some commands as well. That is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something. If you guys have some questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.